Shabbat Tov, Rabotai. We're continuing the Mishnah Yomi with Demai in the 6th parak of Demai at the 10th Mishnah. Ger ve'oved kochavim sheyarshu atavihem oved kochavim. A convert to Judaism and his brother, who's still an idol worshiper, are dividing the estate of their deceased father, the idolater. If you recall, yesterday in Mishnah Tes, we talked about two Jews, a Chaver and an Am Haaretz, dividing the estate of their father in Am Haaretz, and how the Chaver couldn't tell him, you take A and I'll take B, because it was as if it was trading it. You take things that are Mekabel Tuma, I'll take things that aren't Mekabel Tuma. It was an issue. Now here it's going to be a little bit different. In this case, in Mishnah Yud, Yachal Hu Lomar, the convert to Judaism can tell the idolater, Tolata Avodah Zarah, you go take that fat, smiling, golden Buddha in the corner, Vani Mayot, and I will take the cash, I'll take the money. Ata Yain, you take the wine, Vani Perot, I'll take the produce. Because remember, wine, even if it wasn't Mamish Yain Nesech, poured for idols, even Stam Yenam, even regular wine of idolaters is usher, because it could have been picked up for the service of their idol. It was very common they would pour out wine to their idol, and the wine they handled would have been picked up and moved around with this kavana, with this intention. The Mishnah concludes, Im mishabal l'rshus ger, but if it's already come in his possession, he's done some sort of kinyan, he's got it, he's picked it up, it's his, usher. He can't then swap it with his idolatrous ex-brother for the cash or the produce or something that's mutter for him. Now the reason why, and the reason there's a distinction from Mishnah Tes, is that on a deraisa level, this convert to Judaism is no longer truly related. He's born again, to borrow an expression. He's a new man, and on a deraisa level, he's not related to his idolatrous former family. Now, derabanan, he does inherit. So we don't want to cut him off from his family and make him lose out a Yerusha. So on a deraisa level, he's not kona anything automatically with the death of his former idolatrous father. This is unlike in Mishnah Tes, where the two brothers automatically are entitled on a deraisa level to the inheritance, to the estate that their father's leaving. They just need to divide it up. Here, deraisa, the ger hasn't acquired anything, but derabanan, he's entitled, but since he hasn't acquired it yet deraisa, he's allowed to specify when they're dividing up to let the idolaters take the idolatry and let him take what's mutter. Good. Mishnah Yud Aleph, changing tack here. Hamocher perot besurya. Someone who's selling perot besurya. If Syria sounds familiar, it should. It's called Syria now, and back then it was called Aram Tsova. And Syria is a bit different. It's not quite like Eretz Yisrael, and it's not quite like Chutz La'aretz. So the produce in Syria has to be tithed derabanan. It's not full-fledged produce in Eretz Yisrael that's required to be tithed on a deraisa level, but it's not produce of Chutz La'aretz either. Now, this weird quasi-in-between status is because David HaMelech conquered Aram Tsova. He conquered Syria before all of Eretz Yisrael was conquered, before the temple was built. So it's sort of this in-between status where it doesn't have the exact status of Eretz Yisrael, but it definitely has some chashivas and importance, and it was a conquest of David HaMelech. So if you meet Syrian Jews, and you see that they're very proud of their lineage to Syria, you understand it's because of the hashpah of David HaMelech conquering that land. And David HaMelech, in part, conquered it. It's an amazing story. It's in 2 Samuel, the 10th parak. In parak Yud, David HaMelech sent messengers to the king of Ammon, and the king of Ammon thought they were spies and cut off half their beards, which was extremely, ripped their clothing also, but cutting off half their beards was extremely insulting. David HaMelech went to war against Ammon, and also Aram Tsova at the time is mentioned in this parak, conquered Aram Tsova at this time, and famously his general, Yoav, he says the amazing line, Chazak v'nit chazek, because he had to split his army in two to face the forces of Aram Tsova and the forces of Ammon at the same time, and he said to the other general, Chazak v'nit chazek. As we, Chazak v'nit chazek, it's from this war, when David HaMelech's forces were conquering Syria, Aram Tsova. Anyway, Hamocher perus b'Syria, someone selling produce in Syria. Now recall, this is quiet. It's chutzla. It's almost Chutz La'aretz, but it has a little bit of kedusha there. Amar Mishal Eretz Yisrael. He says, I imported this from Eretz Yisrael itself. Chayev la'aser. So when you buy it, you have to take meiser, the meiser of Demai. Because you're buying from Stam a guy. You don't know if he's taking all the tithes. If he says Meusarin hen Neman, if he says yes, they're from Eretz Israel, but they've already been taken all the Meiser, all the Truma's Meiser is already taken, you can believe him. Why? She'apeh she'aser hu apeh she'hitter. The mouth that makes it forbidden is the same mouth that makes it mutter. The mouth that told you it's from Eretz Israel also told you the tithes have been taken. Now we see this phrase is also used in Nashim. So we get into it in the Daf Yomi. If a woman comes to town and says, I was married, but I'm divorced. So she's muteris to be married, as long as the guy's not a Kohen, because a pesha asu, pesha hitter. So this is a concept. If you only know information from that source can also qualify that information in a certain way. He's saying it's usher, it's from Eretz Israel, it's usher in the sense it needs to be tithed, it's not really usher. He tells you it's already tithed, you wouldn't have known otherwise, and you would have assumed that most of the produce in Syria is from Chutz La'aretz, not from Eretz Israel itself, it's from one of the other countries next door, so you could believe him. He could have just said it's from, it's from Iraq, it's from Turkey, and there would have been no Havamina, you have to take any Meiser at all, not even Demai. Mishalihan, if this man selling produce in Syria tells you it's mine, it's my own produce, Chayiv Leiser. You have to take Meiser. You have to take Meiser Demai from this produce you're buying in Syria. If he tells you Meusarin hen, it's mine, but I've already taken all the Meiser Neman, you can believe him. She'apeh she'asu pesha hitter. Again, you're relying on his word. Yeah, it's my produce, but I already took the tithes. You're believing him because really tithing in Aram Tzova in Syria is derabanan. Anyway, most of the produce there is from Chutz La'aretz. It's not chayiv, even derabanan. But the Mishnah concludes, Im yadua sheshel sadeh achad b'Syria. If you know this particular man who's selling, he has his own field, he's growing his own crops, could be his, chayiv la'aiser. You have to take Meiser als Demai. You have to take a Meiser Demai because you're not sure he did it. And it's chayiv at least derabanan in Meiser, so we extended the Demai to cover, the gezer of Demai to cover even produce grown in Syria, in the famous Aram Tzova conquered by David HaMelech. Chazak Baruch.